guys, welcome back to New Digs, and we are here in the icebox in Jill's beautiful library, and it is kind of early to mid-March.
Right, and so we thought it'd be a good idea to give you guys some ideas of things that you can do if you're itching to get your hands on some plants. Considering that you really shouldn't be doing too much outside yet.
Right.
I mean,
we still have snow cover.
Right. I mean, I think that snow will be gone shortly, but we want to urge you guys to not go out and try and clean up too early.
Yeah. And there are a lot of reasons for that. One is that, and if you look back to about a year ago, our first videos were about when the soil can be worked. And it means when the soil in your garden is dry enough and warm enough. And if you start messing around beforehand, you're going to compact the soil. You risk damaging, if you're trying to pull leaves and stuff off your perennial beds, for example, you risk damaging the new shoots of things that are coming up.
And also you don't want to be messing with all the little buggies, because all the beneficial bugs are overwintering in that leaf litter. So
huge.
They need a few more weeks to kind of complete their little cycle and warm up and wake up and emerge. So give them a little bit more of a chance. Try not to get out there in March. Put it off as long as you can.
And I actually was just reading, there's a guy that I follow on Facebook called the Heirloom Gardener, John Forty, and he actually just posted a thing that he's not gonna clear his perennial beds at all this year. He's gonna leave. He gardens in Maine, and he's actually gonna leave all of the debris in the beds.
Just mulch on top of it?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, he's just going to let it break down. So it really is super, especially for pollinators, it's super important not to try to mess around in the beds too early.
Yeah.
But we do have some things that we've come up with a list of kind of the top 5 things that you can be doing.
You can do.
Yeah. In the garden. So what's our first one? Okay.
Go out and look for snowdrops and other things that are blooming.
Snowdrops. And they're those little white, bell-shaped plants. I actually planted some.
The first things that emerge, and in your garden, I know you found you've got some witch hazel.
I do. I have a witch hazel shrub that I put in last year that's been blooming, so I'll get a picture of that. Maybe you'll see some crocus. I know some daffodils. I'm just seeing them poke through in my garden.
So it's always fun
to
go out and kind of see what is starting to come out. But don't get excited and start like digging around, but just
Yeah. And if you do, for example, if the snowdrops or if your crocus are blooming or something a little down the line and we do get a cold snap, they're going to be fine.
Yeah.
Bulbs are built to withstand fluctuations in temperature and to stand cold. So just enjoy them and don't be a fussy mama over them. They'll be just fine.
Yeah. And number 2, go out and cut some Forsythia branches and bring them in. I mean, most people seem to have Forsythia on their property somewhere, or friends,
the deer don't eat it.
Friends that have it or something, and it's a good doer of a shrub. But one of the things I like about it the best is that this time of year, when you're so desperate for spring to happen, go out, cut a few branches, cut the bottoms at a good angle, put them in a vase inside, and in a week you're going to have spring emerging. And it's so nice just to have that yellow froth of flowers. So
it's as you said, it's super easy. It's also good for the plant because you want to shape it a little bit anyway. And I know that a little bit later in the season, if you happen to have a flowering quince, which is a really beautiful ornamental shrub, you can also
happen to have.
I do happen to have. One that I did not plant. It was there from the previous owners. And you can force quince blossoms as well, and they're really lovely. So I love that. And I know you have a whole swath of Forsythia downstairs, so I'm gonna have to do that at my place.
Okay, what's number 3?
I think number 3 is
dormant pruning.
Yeah. This is a huge topic, but essentially what it means is that if you have, say, winterberry shrubs that have suckers that are growing out of them, you can do that. The shrub is dormant. It means it's not leafing out. It's not about to. So doing that sort of cleaning now, you can do that with shrubs, deciduous shrubs. You can do it with fruit trees. Exactly, and roses.
Right. So, the things that we want to get rid of are dead, diseased, damaged
Yeah.
You know, so you can go out and kind of and shape things up, and pruning fruit trees is a whole other subject,
Yeah.
but you know, this, if you know what you're doing, this is the time of year to do that.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's very obvious what is dead. You know,
Right.
I noticed on my little Japanese maple that it's pretty obvious what
Yeah.
needs to be removed at this time of year, because everything turns very gray.
Yeah.
And it's so another thing that's really good to do this time of year is just to kind of get your tool shed in order. Get in there and clean and sharpen your tools if you didn't really do that earlier when you put them away. And if you're like us, it's really easy when you're in that mad rush in the fall just to kind of get things put away.
Yeah.
and not really
I remember years ago, Martha Stewart had like this whole multi-page article about, you know, what she does with her tools, and this is the time of year she sands them, and she sharpens them, and she puts them in a jar with sand and motor oil, and she paints the handles orange so that or repaints them, because of course they were already painted.
Yeah,
so
I
you
read
can
that
find
too,
them.
and I did
It's
the,
always stuck with me as like a horror show.
well,
Like,
yeah, and I did the oil thing, and it turns out the motor oil thing, it's like pollutes your ground. You never want to use motor oil. Don't ever use motor oil.
huh, good to know.
So
But I
yeah.
know, so you did this, and you
Right, it's with your
soapy water. Yeah.
My Philcos I took apart entirely and clean and sharpen. I'm not going to show you that because there are so many good videos on how to do that.
Good to know.
Garden Answers does a good video where she takes everything apart and does that. So I would recommend.
And Philcos are those really high quality pruners that if you become kind of addicted to gardening, you're going to want to ask for as a holiday present.
Right. I have two pairs. One I've had for something like 20 something years, and one that I just got for a present this winter. And I dare you to tell the difference between after I cleaned the first
amazing.
one. It's just they look so good.
Yeah.
Now my other loppers and everything, you clean them in soapy water, and I didn't take them all apart. Soapy water, and then you dry them really well, and you know, you get a good edge on them using a sharpening stone.
And I want you to show me how to do that.
Right. The key to that is to be always seeing what the manufacturer's bevel is and following along with that. Okay. And after you've done a few strokes on that and at the manufacturer's angle, then you flip it over and you just do one or two lightly on the other side just to get rid of the burrs. It's very simple, but it just makes all the difference when you go to start pruning, and it's really worthwhile to do that. Now, if you're going to clean and sharpen your shovels, which is it's not a bad idea to sharpen your shovels up a little bit too. I would use a rasp for that rather than a sharpener.
What's a rasp?
It's a woodworking tool it's more like a file. It's like a file.
Okay.
And
I know some hardware stores will sharpen blades on tool blades and stuff too. I think our local hardware store.
And then after they're all clean and then you can spray them with a vegetable oil spray.
Oh, okay.
And that will keep them nice. But
nice.
Don't use motor oil.
And WD-40 too, that's good for joints, I think? Or no?
I would for your Felcos. Felco makes an oil, a spray oil.
Oh, okay.
I would use that.
Okay.
And then the vegetable oil I used on my prunes and everything.
Okay.
So just because I know it's not going to hurt the soil or the plant or anything.
Good point.
So
good point.
Highly recommend getting organized now before the chaos of spring starts.
Yeah,
so.
Absolutely. And then finally
is if you really need to get your hands in some soil, there are a couple things you can grow now. You can, if you've got a grow light situation, you can start leeks or onions indoors under your grow lights. But you know the thing about that is it's not hard to do, but there is, you need to have the UV lights, which you can pick up at I got mine at Job Lots. They have them at Home Depot.
Yeah.
It's not rocket science. You just want to have that, and then you need a heating pad underneath because things need warmth to germinate.
Yeah.
So there are a couple things you can start this early. Now you don't get excited and start planting your tomato seeds or your pepper seeds or anything like that. You got to wait a few more weeks for that. So
and the information about when to plant will be on the seed packets. It'll say X number of weeks until first frost-free date.
Frost-free date.
Exactly.
And right now we're at something like 11 or something. So
our frost-free date is late May.
Yeah. So, you can do, like I said, leeks, onions. If you want kale, there's a few things like that are cold hardy, tough things that you can start now, so we can get out in the soil early.
Right.
If you've got it, I've got a cold frame this year, so I'm very excited about this. So I've already started spinach, and I'm about to put in some arugula.
Nice.
And
a cold frame is really, it can be very simple to make. I know yours are specifically crafted by Bill.
You can buy kits and just, put them in a sunny location, and it's just a box with a clear lid that allows a lot of sun to get in and
it
warms the soil early. So even though there's snow on the ground right now, if I open up the lid of my cold frame, the soil is nice and warm in there.
That's cool.
So
I actually built one. I just took a couple of, at my old place, my old digs, I took a couple of cinder blocks and a window, like an old discarded window, and then I could just lift it off. It was really rudimentary, but it worked.
Right. But do remember, if you start working in a cold frame, is when it starts to have these warm days. Like I think tomorrow's supposed to be 50.
Yeah, we're gonna get a nice warm snap for like the next 10 days.
So every day I'm gonna go out and crack open the cold frame doors during the day, so they don't get too warm in there, because it does.
And it heats up fast.
Yeah, it's basically like a little mini greenhouse.
Yeah, exactly.
So
until we get our real deal greenhouses, this is a great interim, which will happen. It will happen.
Okay.
We're gonna get those Hartley greenhouses, just like just like the big kids. And in addition, you may know we just did a video on creating a terrarium, and that's a nice way, to get your hands dirty inside too. That's a fun little project. Houseplants. Yeah, exactly. And actually, this is around the time when all of my carefully, preserved houseplants, I get excited about what's going on outside, and I like ignore them.
Yeah, you start like paying attention to your seedlings and everything, and
all of a sudden the houseplants tank after months and months and months of
careful
me
care,
fussing over them. So I'm really not going to let that happen this year.
Okay.
Really not. Really not. So guys, I hope this was a nice little glimpse of spring.
There are things you can do. There are things you could do, and next month we'll be talking about the things you can do in April.
Yeah, and we're going to have trouble editing ourselves. They're down to 5 or 6 things because in April the whole world opens up.
Gardening wise.
Yes, exactly. So thanks again for joining us on New Digs, and we will see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.